Welcome to the Berean Remnant. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Mauser, and today what we're going to be discussing is evangelism and the sunk cost fallacy. So when we talk about the sunk cost fallacy, what we're referring to is the idea that your prior experiences, your prior investments, whatever the cost is that you've sunk into different things you've done in your life, basically outweighs your assessment of making a rational choice today because of prior investments. So no matter what evidence you may be confronted with, because of what you've done in the past, you basically continue your course of action, even if it doesn't make sense to continue that course of action. So you could think of it like basically the waves of a sea beating again and again on a beach, cutting different things out of the sand. All of these prior investments and costs come to your mind, and you think, okay, there's no way that I can't not repeat what I'm doing now. I have to continue down my path, regardless of alternative evidence that shows me that this is not a rational path to choose. Now, it's not that you always make this, or people always make this fallacious decision. You're not determined to do so. It just explains why it's the case that sometimes it's really hard for us to act rationally because of prior investments. So here's one case where this affected me personally. I had trained for a couple months. I trained my son and my wife for this half marathon, and the week of the half marathon came. The three of us were signed up for it, and that week I happened to step in a trap that was basically a hole that one of my children had dug to catch some large cats. Now, we were told that there is a mountain lion in our vicinity, but I think the influence of the Swiss Family Robinson, the idea of catching maybe a tiger or a lion, was really pleasing to my young son. So he built this trap, which when I stepped in, I rolled my ankle, and I was not able to put weight on it all the week of the race. I was just distraught, thinking, oh man, I invested so much. The morning of the race came, and I found out, hey, I could put my weight on this thing again. Let's go for a run. And I ran the half marathon successfully. Pretty much immediately after the half marathon, I was unable to put my weight on my ankle. And for periods of weeks at a time, for at least, I would say, 9, maybe 10 months afterwards, I was on crutches for weeks at a time that I couldn't put any weight on it. I have a series of medical treatments, all because of making this poor decision. Why did I make that poor decision? Well, on the one hand, I looked at all my costs. I spent months training. I had a financial investment there. I wasn't getting any younger. There are a lot of reasons I thought, okay, this is the best time to do this. If I could put my weight on this ankle, maybe I could run through it. And then also there's this runner's mentality that if you stop every time you have a little injury, you would never run. So you always got to run, try to push through things. But what was the cost? Well, the cost now was months of not being able to put any weight on it, a series of medical procedures, a lot of more money that I was investing in these medical treatments than the initial cost of the race. So despite the irrationality of continuing down, I made that decision. Now, for those of us that try to persuade other people to become Christians, because it's true, we are asking people who follow other religions and sometimes cults to leave what they've known, a lot of times their whole life. And doing so may cost them their very lives. So they're confronted with, okay, if I leave this, one of the costs could be death. Another, it could be estrangement from family, abandonment. Another cost may be financial. They may have to give up their job. And we may actually experience some of these things in our own lives. When we share the faith, we may suffer consequences at work. We may lose our job at work. because you're just trying to be faithful in your realm of influence. There are many people who have lost their faith because or lost their jobs because of their faith. So this is part of Jesus' admonition when he's sending out his disciples to try to reach the nation of Israel. And when he sends his disciples into the nations, he warns them of the cost. So initially, he warns them that he did not come to bring peace, but a sword. Now, he did come to bring peace between us and God, but where does this sword mentality come from? Well, it comes from the fact that you're severing relationships. He warns that if you love your father or mother more than you love him, then you're not worthy of him. He warns his disciples that you should take up your cross and follow him. The cross is this symbol of death, that he's warning, okay, if you don't take this seriously, the fact that if you want to really save your life, you're going to lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. So this is the idea of the cost you're asking people to consider when they accept the gospel. It's the cost that we face on a daily basis when we're considering, should I share my faith now? Is this something to stand up for? And especially those of us who consider ourselves to be Bereans. And I want you to keep in mind the reference in Scripture to the men of Berea. They were more noble-minded than the people from Thessalonica. So if you consider yourself, okay, I want to be more noble-minded. I want to be a Berean. What did they do? Well, they searched the Scriptures to see whether what Paul and Silas were saying corresponded to reality and to the Scripture. If it does, well, then you pursue that despite the cost. So hopefully this allows you to be encouraged, to take heart, that, yeah, there is a cost, but none of us want to gain the whole world and lose our soul. Again, another admonition from Jesus. What good is it if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? None of us want to be among that guy. So though there's huge costs associated, maybe our very lives, our jobs, relationships, financial security, whatever it is, all of these things are insignificant in light of eternity. So, Bereans, I hope you consider this to be a good encouragement, a good challenge. It's something to keep in mind when we're sharing the gospel. And I hope you all have a great day. You'll like and subscribe.